Hi Samantha. So first off, I really like how you've set up the course, having it in the collapsed form. I think that that's nice. I did just notice that this is misspelled, so you probably want to fix that. Down here where you have the goals and objectives, since you have a lot of them, I would maybe just keep them in the start here where you have them, and rather than listing them out for each module. When I go into the week, again, I like how you've laid it out: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It makes it really easy to see what there's to do each day. I would maybe add labels under there for like the read, watch, and then another label for assignments, rather than putting it in the label. I think it might look a little bit cleaner. I have an example. So this is somebody else's course that I'm working on, where it's, the read, watch, listen, student presentations, and then assignments, and then you have them each indented under there. So that might be something to try how that looks. And then under the week 2, down here, I would try unbolding it. It will still probably stick out. And now I'm going to go into some more kind of like accessibility, design, HTML type things. First is some of the headings. I noticed that this is an H1 heading, but on the page this is H1 and this is H2, so this should be H3 because you want to always go in order. Similarly, on the kind of week by week overview, these labels I think are also H1, but this is H3, and so these should be H4. And the way that I know what heading level this is I'll show you. So if you're in Chrome, if you right click and click inspect, that brings up this little box over here that shows you all the HTML that's on the page, which is super useful, because then I can I click this little cursor, and then I can select this, and I can see that it's an H3. And that's also how I was able to see that that was an H1. The other thing with your headers, at least on some of your description pages, is that they're kind of repeats of the title up here. So like right here, I'd probably just remove that one and then, start with my H3 headings down here. And then if I look at your overview, so first I really like that you have this overview book here that's clearly able to start here. I think that's really nice. I go to like how this class will work. So here, again with the headings, I can see that that's in H1 and then that's in H3, so these should be H4. The other thing is, so notice a lot of your pages have kind of these styles written in here, and that happens a lot when if you're pasting from Word. It can kind of keep some of those styles, like for example here this is setting the font to be, Trebuchet, and I don't know if that was on purpose, just because it's very similar to the default font in Moodle, so I thought maybe that was not on purpose. You also have a few empty tags, like I can see over here. Here's a couple of P tags that don't have any content in them, which you don't want for accessibility reasons. Also the list here, each bulleted item is actually a separate list. They're not all part of the same list. And the way to fix that, if you're in the book and then you go to edit and then go to the little code guys, you can see here's all the empty P tags, so you'll want to delete all those. And you can also see here is this list here. UL is unordered list, so you can see that each of these is actually a separate list. And so to get rid of that, we're just gonna delete these middle UL tags. Right, so it starts with the UL, that's the unordered list tag. Each thing inside of it is a list item. So now it's all part of one list. And then as far as all this extra style stuff that comes when you paste from Word, if you want to get rid of that, which probably you do, you copy all the code and then go to htmlcleaner.com, then paste it over here, clean it. That will get rid of all that extra style for you. Then you can copy it and then put it in there. And then, like I said, you'll want to replace these with H4 tags. And then I would probably remove these strong tags. Strong tags are also what we call semantic HTML, so they have meaning for accessibility. It's like, say this in a strong voice. And so we usually don't want to put those on headings. Okay, so here's how that looks now. Oh yeah, one of the other reasons that I thought that the blue, right before you had it as blue, like this, I thought this blue kind of looked a little bit like links, since the blue color is usually what a link is. But this is, maybe could be better stylistically. So here's one example that I was playing around with. Changed the color to still, I guess, a bluish color. It's dark cyan. And if you're wondering how I knew that color, you can go to this website. It's also, I think, when you Google CSS colors, it's the first result that comes up. And then all these color names are things you can just type in. So I did color and then the dark cyan. And then I also gave it some extra margin on the top, extra 20 pixels, just because before it was kind of close together. So I'll show you how to do that. For your page, you click this little code guy, and then do style equals double quotes. Anything you put in here is style CSS that will be applied to that item. So what did I say? I said margin top 20 pixels and then color dark cyan. Capitals or lowercase here, doesn't matter. And I'm just going to copy it down for all the H4s. And then that looks like that. So it takes a little bit extra, but I think it's not too bad once you get the hang of it. There was one other HTML thing I wanted to show you, and that's headings. No, not headings, tables. So you have a lot of tables in your course. I like that you have rubrics here. I did also want to mention actually that you can add rubrics in assignments, if you don't know that already. It's when you're under grade, if you change from, well, mine's marked as rubric here, but usually this is the default and you change to rubric. You can actually define a rubric in the assignment. But, of course, with that, it has to actually be an assignment, and here it's a page, right, because your assignment is due the following day. So that's fine to have it in the assignment description. But if I go to the inspect tool, because there were a few things on this page. So again, I thought, that text looks really small, and it's because it has this style on it. So again, that happens when you are copying over from Word, for example. It will put that style on there. So easy way to do that, just use the HTML cleaner and remove it. So your table down here, a few things. First is you should have a table header. I can see again there's some of these styles coming over. So my first step would be to go to that HTML cleaner and clean it up. So clean it. Sometimes they put this little ad down there. Whatever, just delete it. And then go over. I just made an example of your table so I could edit it. Delete. And then there you go. So that at least fixes those style things. The other thing is you'll want to change your first row to be headers. So, for example, I can see this is your first row in your table. TR means table row. And so to change these headers, you just change TD, which is table data, like a data cell, to be TH, which is table header. The other thing is you'll want to add something in here because each column should have a header. So, for example, component, and then you update, and that's how that looks. So now you might see that this is kind of a little bit close to the line. So we want to add some padding, and then also down here we want to probably make this span across those three columns. So for the padding, it's just right up here where you first define your table. Cell padding, you can enter a number. It's just any number. It's technically pixels, but you don't have to put the unit. It's 5, and then you can see that's what that looks like. If you want, also I know that this text was centered originally. You can do that too up here where you define the table. Here's your style equals text align center, and that will center all the text in the table. Okay, so now let's jump down and do that. So right here, the score, and then you have these empty cells. So let's delete those. And then right here in the score tag, you do col span, and that's how many columns you want this to span. And so we say 3. I want to span 3 columns. And then that's how that looks. And I feel like, I know this is centered, but then you said, maybe I want that right aligned. That's also easy. Style equals text align right. Align right, and maybe you'll say, oh, I want it bold. If you go in here, and so this is the table row. If you put a style on the table row, it's going to apply to everything in that row. So I can do style, font weight, bold, and then there. So that's looking a little bit better. You can also get fancy with your header if you want. You can make it a color, for example. So again, I'm just applying the style to the table row, so that's gonna be everything in the top. And let's say dark cyan. So there you go, but now it's kind of hard to see, so we want to change the text color. You can see I put this semicolon. You always want to separate things inside the style tag with a semicolon. So then I would say color, which is how you define color for a font, and say what. And so that's how it looks now. And I guess one other thing I would maybe change about it is to make it a little bit wider. I'll just make it 100%. So with 100%, that means it's going to take up the full width 100% of whatever it's in, which is nice because then it's going to look good at different screen sizes. So you can see, yes, you can see all the tabs I have open. But as I resize it, it resizes. So that's pretty nice. Okay, so that's probably plenty for now. I hope I didn't overwhelm you. I think it's looking really good. I think it's coming together nicely.